The most dangerous thing in the world is not a weapon, not an army, not even time itself. It is a chosen one who knows the secret their enemies fear. Your enemies don't just hate you. Hate is too small, too weak of a word. They fear you. Every whisper, every attack, every desperate attempt to break you is nothing but the sound of their terror. They sense it. The power in you. The force they cannot predict, cannot control. And that is why they plot, why they scheme, why they throw their stones from the shadows. They are not at war with you. They are at war with the reality of their own insignificance. They wanted you weak, hesitant, questioning your place. But here you are, standing tall, untouched, unshaken, unbreakable. Before we go deeper, like this video, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments if you're ready to claim your power. Every time you engage, you signal the system to spread this message to more chosen ones. They don't want you to hear this. They don't want this reaching the ones who were meant to rise. But the more you react, the more unstoppable this force becomes. And trust me, they already feel it. They feel it before you even speak. Your presence alone shifts the air. You don't have to announce yourself. They just know. That's why they watch you so closely, why they try to twist your name, why they scramble to find a way to diminish you. Because deep down, they understand the truth. You were never one of them. You never moved like they did, never thought like they did, never followed the rules they created to keep people in line. And that, more than anything, haunts them. You are a living, breathing reminder that power does not ask for permission. The ocean does not ask before it swallows the shore. A wildfire does not apologize before it consumes everything in its path. And you do not shrink just because your light makes others uncomfortable. That is why they fear you, because you cannot be controlled, cannot be predicted, cannot be swayed by their empty words or their desperate games. You've noticed it, haven't you? How their attacks seem to intensify the stronger you become. How they once ignored you, dismissed you, pretended you didn't matter, until you became undeniable. The louder they scream, the more obvious it is that they are losing. The more they try to pull you down, the more it proves you are already above them. They claim to hate you, yet they watch your every move. They claim you are nothing, yet they spend their days plotting against you. If you were truly insignificant, why are they so obsessed? Because they see it coming. They see the shift, feel the weight of what's already in motion. They sense that their time is running out, that their false power is fading, that the system is realigning, and it is not in their favor. They thought they could stop you, thought they could silence you, thought they could bury you beneath their lies, their doubts, their illusions. But what they didn't realize is that you are not someone who fades. You are someone who rises. You were not meant to live in the shadows of their expectations. You were built for something greater, forged in fire, tested by storms, strengthened by every attempt to break you. And now they are the ones who are breaking. So let them talk, let them whisper, let them scramble to hold on to the illusion of control, because the moment you step fully into your power, they are already gone. And now, let's get into it, because once you know this secret, nothing will ever be the same. And thank you. Yes, you, the chosen one. Whether this is your first time here or you've been standing with us from the beginning, know this. Your presence is no coincidence. Your super gifts are the fuel behind this unstoppable force, the very thing your enemies hoped you would never recognize. They wanted you silent, hesitant, questioning yourself. Instead, you're here, rising, reclaiming what was always yours. If you're ready to step into your power, to rise above their noise, their games, their illusions. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments. Every action you take sends a signal, not just to YouTube, but to the universe itself, that the chosen ones are gathering, growing, becoming unstoppable. They fear this moment. Now, let's step into what they never wanted you to know. Number 1, they fear what they cannot control. And you are untouchable. A wildfire doesn't report to the trees before it burns. Your enemies don't just dislike you, they fear you. Fear is the root of every attack, every whisper, every scheme. They don't come after you because you're weak. No one wastes their energy on something insignificant. They come after you because they cannot control you, and what they cannot control, they seek to destroy. That's why they manipulate. That's why they twist the story, rewrite the rules, build traps where there were none. They want you second-guessing yourself, questioning your own power, waiting for permission that will never come. Because as long as they keep you distracted, as long as they keep you tangled in their web of lies, you will never rise above them. But the second you stop playing by their rules, the entire illusion crumbles. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how they react when you make a move they didn't anticipate? The moment you take a step they didn't plan for, their entire foundation shakes. Their control is built on predictability, on knowing what you'll do next. But when you move in silence, when you stop explaining, stop justifying, stop reacting, they panic. That's why they talk about you. That's why they watch you. That's why their obsession with you grows stronger the more you refuse to engage. They thought you were like them, easily swayed, easily manipulated, desperate for approval. But you're not them. You never were. And that realization, that's what keeps them up at night. Look at history. Look at those who defied control, who refused to bow, who rewrote the rules instead of following them. They were mocked, ridiculed, torn apart by those who couldn't understand them. Nikola Tesla, labeled insane because his vision was too big for small minds. Muhammad Ali, hated not for his talent, but for the fact that he refused to conform, refused to apologize for his greatness. Frida Kahlo, told she was too much, too bold, too different. Yet her art lives forever. And then there's you. Another name they whisper in jealousy, another force they cannot define, another problem they cannot solve. The moment you understand that their opinions, their approval, their validation mean nothing, you become truly untouchable. They will say you've changed. They will say you are arrogant. They will say you think you're better than them. And they are right. You have changed. You are not who you were when they had control over you. You no longer play small to make them comfortable. You no longer sit at tables where you are only tolerated. You are better, not in ego, but in evolution. And that is their greatest fear. Because what happens when you fully embrace your power? What happens when you stop seeking permission and start moving with full force? What happens when you finally step into who you were always meant to be? They disappear, not because you pushed them away, but because they cannot survive in the same space as someone they cannot control. A shadow does not extinguish the sun, it only proves the light exists. But wait, what if they call you selfish? What if they say you've abandoned them? What if they turn more people against you? Good. Let them. The ones who truly belong in your life will never ask you to shrink. The ones who truly support you will never need you to be small for their comfort. And the ones who leave, they were never meant to stand beside you in the first place. So let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them watch. The greatest revenge is not anger. It is success. It is moving forward while they remain stuck in the same cycle, bitter and obsessed. It is standing so tall that their voices become nothing but background noise. You are untouchable, not because they won't try, not because they won't attack, but because nothing they do will ever be enough to stop you. And deep down, they already know it. The only question left is, do you? Number 2. A lion doesn't lose sleep over the growls of hyenas. The strongest warriors don't waste time fighting those beneath them. They bark, they gossip, they gather in small, pathetic circles, trying to twist your name, trying to turn others against you. But let's make one thing clear. A lion does not concern itself with the opinions of hyenas. A lion walks in silence, moves with precision, strikes only when necessary. And the weak, they make noise. That's why they talk so much. That's why they scream your name when you aren't even in the room. They want your attention, your energy, your reaction, because if they can pull you into their chaos, into their small-minded games, then maybe, just maybe, they can convince themselves that they matter. But here's the truth. They don't matter. Not to you, not to the universe, not to the force that chose you. Their entire existence is built around one thing: desperation. Desperate to be seen, desperate to be heard, desperate to make you look in their direction so they can pretend they are on your level. But they are not. You have seen it. The way they scramble for relevance, the way they watch you, follow your every move, mimic your steps, yet pretend they are above you. The way they wait for you to slip, to react, to give them even the slightest acknowledgement. Because in their minds, that's a victory. But a lion does not explain itself to hyenas. A king does not argue with peasants. A chosen one does not lower themselves to fight battles that have already been won. Let them talk. Let them waste their breath. Let them fill the air with their empty words. Because at the end of the day, that is all they have. Words. And words without power, without truth, without action. They are nothing. Have you noticed? The ones who talk the most do the least. The ones who claim to hate you the most watch you the closest. If you were truly nothing, if you were truly beneath them, why are they so obsessed? Because deep down, they know the truth. Your silence is the loudest thing in the room. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't explain. You simply exist, and that alone threatens their entire reality. Look at the greatest names in history, the ones who changed the world, who reshaped reality, who walked a path others were too afraid to even step on. They didn't waste time arguing with their doubters. They moved, they built, they created, and in doing so, they left the noise behind. Michael Jordan didn't argue, he dominated. Elon Musk doesn't debate, he builds. Beyoncé doesn't explain, she proves. And you don't respond. You don't lower yourself. You don't feed the beasts that live off attention. You stay focused, you stay disciplined, you stay unshaken, because at the end of the day, you have something they never will: purpose. Purpose terrifies the weak. It makes them uneasy. It reminds them that while they were wasting their time watching you, you were moving forward, leaving them behind. That's why they're loud, because silence would force them to sit with their own failures, their own stagnation, their own wasted time. They fill the air with distractions so they never have to face the fact that they are nothing without you. Let them yell, let them lie, let them twist the story. It will never change the outcome. You will rise, they will remain where they've always been, on the sidelines, watching, waiting, hoping for a reaction that will never come. And That is what haunts them the most, because they don't just want to bring you down, they want to matter. They want you to acknowledge them, validate them, confirm that they exist. But you owe them nothing. So move in silence. Let them choke on their own noise. Let them destroy themselves trying to tear you down. Because a lion does not waste its roar on creatures who are already beneath its feet. They thought they could drag you into their chaos, but all they did was remind you why you were always destined to walk alone. Number 3. The strongest warrior never swings first, because the battle was already won. A king doesn't step off his throne just because a fool throws stones at his castle. They want you to fight. They want you to step into the mud with them, to waste your time swinging at shadows, to exhaust yourself proving what was already undeniable. But the second you react, they win, because that's all they were after in the first place, your energy. Understand this. They don't hate you because of what you've done. They hate you because of what you represent. You are a disruption. You are a force. Your very existence is proof that they have failed, that they have wasted their time chasing illusions while you became something they never could. And that burns them more than anything else. That's why they provoke. That's why they spread lies, create obstacles, whisper in the ears of those around you. Not because they have real power, but because they have nothing left but games. And a fool with nothing to lose will do anything for a moment of control. But you are untouchable, because you know the truth. The war was won the moment you were chosen. Look at history. Look at every true warrior, every leader, every force of nature who changed the game. They did not waste time battling every lesser opponent who challenged them. They moved with purpose. They struck only when necessary. They never fought wars that were already decided. Bruce Lee didn't challenge weak fighters. He mastered his craft in silence. Napoleon didn't defend his name against every critic. He conquered. Steve Jobs didn't argue with those who doubted him. He built a legacy that outlived them. And yet, here you are, wasting energy on people who wouldn't even exist without you. They scream for your attention because they are powerless without it. They poke, they prod, they try to drag you into pointless battles because they know they could never defeat you in a real one. So they settle for distractions. They settle for whispers. They settle for petty games, hoping you will lower yourself just long enough for them to feel important. But a king does not argue with beggars. A general does not waste bullets on ants, and a chosen one does not entertain those who have already lost. Because here's what they don't want you to realize. Your power is not in your fists, it is in your presence. The moment you engage, you make them relevant. The moment you respond, you give them life. But the moment you move forward, they become nothing. Have you noticed how they crumble when you don't react? How their lies start to unravel, how their bitterness starts to consume them from the inside out. That is not an accident. That is the system correcting itself. Because the universe does not reward the desperate, it does not uplift the weak, it does not side with those who move in deceit. It moves for those who stand in their truth, those who rise above, those who refuse to be dragged into battles beneath them. So let them swing, let them throw their stones, let them plot and scheme and wait for your reaction. You will give them nothing, because that is the greatest defeat of all, to be ignored, to be erased, to be made irrelevant in the face of something greater. They tried to drag you down, but instead they watched you rise. They tried to steal your focus, but instead they lost their own. They tried to make you play their game, but instead you built a world where they don't even exist. That is real power. So hold your ground, stand in your strength, and remember The greatest warrior never swings first, because the battle was already decided, and the only ones who don't know it are the ones who have already lost. Number 4. A snake always bites itself. Your enemies will destroy themselves. A snake that bites in anger soon tastes its own venom. Have you noticed? The ones who have tried to bring you down, the ones who whispered behind your back, the ones who threw obstacles in your path, they are always the ones who seem to struggle the most. Their lives crumble, their plans collapse, and no matter how hard they try to keep it together, they always seem to be the ones falling apart. That's not coincidence. That's not karma. That's correction. Because the moment they moved against you, they set their own destruction in motion. The universe does not reward deception. It does not elevate the envious. It does not stand with those who build their strength on the downfall of others. It restores balance. And when someone moves in hate, in bitterness, in jealousy, that poison does not disappear. It stays in their bloodstream, slowly consuming them. Look at them now. The ones who doubted you, the ones who thought they could stop you. Where are they? Struggling, desperate, bitter. Because while they were focused on destroying you, they forgot to build themselves. That's how it always goes. The enemy doesn't see the trap they've set for themselves until it's too late. They think they are working in silence, moving against you without consequence, planting seeds of destruction in your path. But they fail to realize those seeds do not grow in your soil. They grow in theirs. Have you ever wondered why? Why do the people who move against you always seem to fall first? Why do the ones who attack you the hardest always seem to be the ones who fade away? Because a snake that bites in anger soon tastes its own venom. That's the irony. They were never fighting you. They were fighting the force that chose you, the path that was already written, the destiny they were never meant to be part of. They were not just working against you, they were working against the system itself. And the system never loses. Think of every great downfall in history. Judas betrayed Jesus for a handful of silver, only to destroy himself in the end. Benedict Arnold sold out his own country, only to be remembered as a traitor forever. Every dictator, every backstabber, every enemy of greatness has one thing in common. They always fall by their own hand, because their energy is self-destructive. Their lies are a weight they cannot carry. Their jealousy is a fire that burns only them. And you never even had to lift a finger. They set their own trap, they built their own cage, and now they are suffocating inside of it. So what do? Do you warn them? Do you try to save them? Do you show them mercy? No, because they made their choice. They chose to be your enemy, and with that choice came the consequences they never saw coming. A snake doesn't bite out of wisdom. It bites out of fear, out of desperation, out of the belief that it has no other option. And your enemies? They bit down hard. They lashed out, thinking they were doing damage, thinking they were stopping you, thinking they were in control. But they weren't. They never were. And now they are left choking on their own venom. Watch them. Watch how they start to slip, how their own negativity eats away at them, how the same games they played against you start playing against them. They wanted to see you fall. Instead, they are the ones losing their footing. They wanted to see you struggle. Instead, they are the ones gasping for air. They wanted to stop your rise. Instead, they are drowning in their own failure. That's how the system works. The energy you send out always finds its way home. And the ones who moved in deception, who thrived on hate, who wasted their time trying to stop something that was never in their control. They have nothing left now but regret. So let them suffer. Let them watch. Let them feel every ounce of the downfall they created for themselves. Because you never needed revenge. You never needed to fight back. They were always going to destroy themselves. You just had to stay standing long enough to watch it happen. Number 5. They hate you because they feel you before you even speak. The sun never introduces itself. It just shines. You don't even have to say a word. They feel you before you even walk in. The air shifts, the energy changes, and suddenly they're uncomfortable. That's your power. That's what they fear. They don't hate you because of something you did. They hate you because of what you are. Because the second you step into the room, their illusions start to crack. Their masks slip. Their insecurities scream at them from the inside. You don't have to attack them. You existing at full power is an attack on everything they pretend to be. Have you noticed how they avoid eye contact? How they whisper the moment you turn your back? How they try to outshine you but always fall short? That's not by accident. That's fear disguised as arrogance. They can't understand why you move the way you do, why you aren't desperate for validation, why you don't beg for approval like they do. They've spent their whole lives performing, pretending, conforming. So when they see you standing in your truth, untouched by their games, it makes them sick. Because deep down, they know they could have been more. They know they could have risen higher, could have walked in their own light. But they chose the easy road. They chose comfort over growth, approval over authenticity, safety over power. And you are living proof that they made the wrong choice. That's why they attack. That's why they try to belittle you, downplay your presence, twist your name. Not because they truly believe what they say, but because they need to convince themselves that you are not as powerful as you are. But the truth? They knew who you were before you did. They saw it in you when you were still doubting yourself. They felt it in you when you were still searching for answers. That's why they've tried so hard to break you, to make you doubt, to keep you second-guessing. Because the moment you fully realize your power, they cease to exist. Think about it. Why are they so obsessed with you? If you were nothing, if you were just another person, just another face, just another name, why do they watch so closely? Why do they track your every move, study your every word, whisper about you like you're some kind of threat? Because you are a threat. Not because you're trying to be, not because you seek conflict, but because you remind them that real power does not ask for permission. You don't beg to be noticed. Don't chase attention. Don't water yourself down to make others comfortable. And that alone makes you dangerous. Look at the greats. Michael Jordan walked into a gym, and the competition already knew they lost before the game started. Tupac spoke, and his words echoed long after he was gone. Elon Musk makes a move, and entire industries scramble to keep up. They don't ask for the spotlight. The spotlight follows them. And that's you. That's why the weak panic when you're around. That's why they whisper. That's why they try to tear you down with cheap shots and weak words. Because they feel your presence, and they know they will never have it. They don't just envy your success. They envy your essence. The way you move, the way you think, the way you command attention without asking for it. They want what you have, but they know they will never get it. Because presence cannot be faked, confidence cannot be stolen, power cannot be imitated. They could copy your style, mimic your words, try to recreate your energy, but it will always fall flat, because what you carry was never meant for them. And that's what haunts them the most. So let them watch, let them whisper, Let them study your every move, hoping to find a crack in your armor. They will find nothing but their own reflection staring back at them. Because the truth is, you don't even see them. You are too busy rising, too busy becoming, too busy walking in a power they will never touch. And that's why they hate you. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you are. Number 6. They wanted to break you, but you were built in fire. They sent storms your way, but they didn't realize you are the storm. They thought they could break you. They lied, they betrayed, they plotted in the dark, hoping you would crumble under the weight of their attacks. They threw stones, knives, and every kind of obstacle they could find, convinced that if they hit you hard enough, you would fall. But instead, you became unbreakable. Every time they pushed, you grew stronger. Every time they doubted you, you rose higher. Every betrayal, every setback, every whispered lie only fueled the fire that was already inside you. They thought they were destroying you, but all they were doing was forging something indestructible. That's the mistake they made. They assumed you were made of the same weak material as them. They thought you would fold, retreat, beg for mercy. But you are not built like them. You were never meant to be ordinary, never meant to be easily swayed, never meant to be controlled by the opinions of the weak. You were built in fire, and fire doesn't break. It burns, it consumes, it transforms. Look at history. Look at the ones who rose despite every force trying to hold them down. Oprah was fired from her first TV job, told she wasn't good enough. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, told he wasn't talented enough. Steve Jobs was pushed out of the very company he created, called a failure. And yet, what happened? They didn't just survive, they became legends. Because fire does not apologize for burning. It does not shrink. It does not ask permission. It does not beg for acceptance. It devours everything in its path and turns it into something new, something greater. And that's exactly what you did. They tried to drown you in doubt, but you turned it into confidence. They tried to trap you in fear, but you turned it into courage. They tried to make you weak, but you turned their attacks into fuel. They didn't realize what they were dealing with. They thought they were up against just another person, just another mind they could manipulate, just another soul they could break. But what they failed to see was that you were already destined to survive. Have you noticed? The ones who worked the hardest to bring you down are the ones who seem to be struggling the most now. That's not coincidence. That's the universe correcting itself. That's the weight of their own actions catching up to them. They burned themselves trying to extinguish you. Because when you are chosen, when you are built for something greater, nothing they do can stop your rise. They can try, they can scheme, they can lie, they can rally others against you. But in the end, their energy is wasted. Because while they were busy plotting against you, you were busy becoming untouchable. And now they are the ones afraid. Because they see it. They see that nothing worked, that you are still here, still moving, still rising. And that terrifies them. Because they weren't just fighting you, they were fighting something much bigger. They were fighting the fire inside you, the force that moves through you, the destiny that was never theirs to control. And no one wins against the inevitable. So let them regret. Let them wonder how you survived. Let them watch in silence as you continue to become everything they tried to stop. Because now, you don't just survive, you dominate. You were never meant to break. You were meant to rise. Number 7. They don't hate you. They envy you. A drowning man doesn't hate the boat. He just resents the fact that he can't reach it. Let's tell the truth. They don't hate you. Hate is personal. Hate requires depth, emotion, and a reason. But envy is silent, corrosive, and eats them from the inside out. Envy doesn't need logic. It doesn't need justification. It just festers, poisoning the weak as they obsess over something they will never have. They watch you, they study you, they mimic you. If they truly hated you, why do they keep your name in their mouth? Why do they check on you, track your progress, analyze your every move like their life depends on it? Because deep down, they wish they had what you have. They wish they carried your confidence. They wish they moved with your certainty. They wish they didn't need validation the way they do. But they can't admit that. They can't accept that their biggest enemy is their own insecurity. So instead, they make you the problem. They twist the story. They turn admiration into resentment. They turn their own failures into reasons to despise you. Because it is easier to hate you than to fix themselves. Have you noticed? The loudest ones, the most bitter, the most resentful, they are always the ones who had the same time, the same chances, the same opportunities, but never had the courage to use them. They stood still while you moved forward. They played small while you expanded. And now, every step you take reminds them of what they could have been. They are not angry at you. They are angry at themselves. But self-accountability is painful, and the weak avoid pain at all costs. So instead of looking inward, they lash out. They turn you into their target, hoping that by pulling you down, they will feel higher. But that's not how the world works. Look at history. Look at those who changed the game, those who broke the system, those who rewrote the rules. Muhammad Ali, he didn't just fight in the ring. He fought against those who despised him for his confidence. Beyoncé, she didn't just dominate music. She became a symbol of excellence that threatened those too weak to match her work ethic. Elon Musk, he didn't just build companies. He became the embodiment of a vision too bold for small minds to grasp. And every single one of them was hated. Not because they did anything wrong, not because they harmed anyone, but because they existed in a way that made the weak feel exposed. And that's exactly what's happening to you. Your very presence makes them uncomfortable, because you don't need their approval. You don't beg for validation. You don't shrink to fit in. You don't wait for permission to exist at full power. And that burns them from the inside. So they attack. They whisper. They twist your name in conversations you're not even part of. But what does that really say? If you were nothing, if you were irrelevant, if you didn't matter, why are they so obsessed? Why do they track your every move like their survival depends on it? Why do they care so much? Because you have something they can never have. Not money, not fame, not status. Presence, energy, power. And those are things you cannot fake, cannot buy, cannot steal. They could copy your words, mimic your style, even try to replicate your moves. But it will always feel hollow, because what you have isn't surface level. It isn't about aesthetics, about trends, about cheap attention. What you carry is something deeper, and deep down, they know they will never be able to hold it. That's why they watch. That's why they whisper. That's why they spend their days hoping you will fall. Because if you fall, it means they were never the problem. It means the system was rigged against everyone. It means they were right to give up. But you haven't fallen. You are still here, still rising, still proving without saying a word that they have no excuse. And that is what truly haunts them. So let them envy. Let them gossip. Let them waste their days hating what they will never be. Because at the end of the day, you are not their competition. You are their reminder. a reminder of everything they could have been, a reminder of every risk they were too scared to take, a reminder that while they were watching, you were building. And that's why they will never stop talking, because a drowning man doesn't hate the boat, he just resents the fact that he can't reach it. Number 8. Your enemies are fighting a war they already lost. A fool thinks he can escape gravity until he jumps. They think they're battling you. They believe their schemes, their gossip, their pathetic attempts to sabotage you are enough to take you down. But the truth is, they were never fighting you. They were fighting something far greater. And that's why they were doomed from the start. They are battling against the system itself, the universe, the unshakable laws of energy, balance and correction. They are swinging at forces they do not understand, throwing punches at the very thing that controls the battlefield. And the universe, it does not lose. Have you noticed? The ones who move against you, the ones who plot, manipulate, throw stones from the shadows, always seem to be the ones who fall the hardest. Their lives start crumbling, their relationships fracture, their finances collapse, their minds become their own worst enemy. That's not karma, that's cause and effect. Because when you are chosen, when you walk in purpose, the universe moves in your favor. That means every attack against you is an attack against something greater than yourself. And no one wins against the inevitable. They were warned. They were given a chance to step aside, to mind their business, to focus on their own growth. But instead, they chose war. And the moment they did, they sealed their own fate. Because you are not fighting them. You never were. You have been too busy moving forward, too focused on your own path, too aligned with your own purpose to waste energy on battles that don't even matter. You were chosen, protected, aligned. And them? They were never supposed to be part of your story in the first place. That's why everything they thought they built is collapsing. Their fake friendships falling apart. Their status fading into irrelevance. Their plans backfiring at every turn. Because nothing built on lies, manipulation, and envy will ever last. It may stand for a moment, it may even seem untouchable for a time, but eventually, the weight of its own weakness will bring it down. History has proven this over and over again. Napoleon thought he could outsmart destiny, only to be exiled to an island to die alone. Judas thought he could betray greatness and profit, only to realize too late that his price was his own destruction. Every tyrant, every betrayer, every person who thought they could cheat the system, always learns the hard way that the system keeps perfect score. And your enemies, they are no different. They think they are getting away with something. They think their deception will go unnoticed, that their actions won't catch up to them. They believe they can cheat gravity, that they can jump and somehow never fall. But gravity always wins, and the longer they keep running, the harder the fall will be. That's why they are scrambling now. That's why they look exhausted, bitter, confused. That's why they are failing in places they once thought were secure. They are realizing too late that they were never as powerful as they thought. They thought they had control. They thought they were manipulating the board. They thought they were untouchable, but the game was never in their hands. And now they are fighting shadows, swinging at nothing, screaming into the void, watching their own downfall unfold in slow motion, unable to stop it. And the most painful part, you didn't even have to do anything, because you never needed revenge. You never needed to prove yourself. You never needed to fight them. They were always going to destroy themselves. They just didn't know it yet. So let them fall. Let them collapse under the weight of their own deception. Let them learn the hard way that no one wins against the universe, because the battle was already lost. They just refuse to see it. Number 9. A shadow cannot block the sun. It only proves the light exists. A shadow only exists because of the presence of light. They tried to dim your light, tried to discredit you, to twist your name, to turn people against you. They threw dirt, hoping it would bury you, but instead it became the soil for your growth. Because here's what they never understood. The truth cannot be silenced. No matter how many lies they spread, no matter how many people they rallied against you, no matter how much they schemed, the truth always found its way through. Because the universe does not let falsehood win, a shadow cannot exist without the light. It is not a force of its own, not something independent or powerful. It is merely a reaction, a weak attempt to block something greater. And that's exactly what your enemies are. Shadows. They have no real substance, no real power, no real foundation of their own. They exist only in response to you. Without your light, they have nothing. Have you ever wondered why they are so desperate to turn others against you? Why they work overtime to convince the world that you are the problem? Because they know that the moment people see the truth for themselves, their entire illusion falls apart. They thrive in darkness, in deception, in manipulation, because in the light they are exposed. But here's what they didn't anticipate. You are not someone who fades. You didn't just survive their attacks, you became stronger. You didn't just withstand their lies, you shattered them. Every attempt to destroy you only made the truth more obvious. Look at how their plans unraveled, how the very people they tried to turn against you eventually saw through their deception, how their words started sounding hollow, how their bitterness became more visible, how their obsession with you became their own undoing. Because here's the truth, when something is real, it cannot be erased. History has proven this time and time again. The greatest figures in history were all attacked, all slandered, all falsely accused. Galileo was condemned for proving the earth revolved around the sun. Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for fighting against oppression. Malcolm X was demonized for speaking truth to power. And yet, who do we remember? The ones who stood in the light. Because false narratives never last. Lies collapse under the weight of their own weakness. And those who move in deception, they always lose to those who stand in truth. And that's why they failed. They thought they could erase you. They thought they could overshadow you. They thought they could dim your presence. But all they did was prove how powerful you are. Because if you weren't a threat, they wouldn't be fighting so hard to stop you. If you were truly irrelevant, they wouldn't waste their energy trying to silence you. Their actions exposed them before you ever had to say a word. And now, they are scrambling. Because no matter what they do, your light remains. They cannot understand how you are still standing, still thriving, still rising when everything they did should have destroyed you. But they don't realize, light does not bow to shadows. Let them lurk. Let them whisper. Let them exhaust themselves trying to block the inevitable. The sun does not fight the darkness. It simply rises. And you are already shining. Number 10. The moment you stop seeking approval, you become a threat. A tree does not ask permission to grow. It just grows. They only had power over you when you cared. When you still thought you needed their approval, when you still explained yourself, still sought validation, still tried to prove your worth. But the moment you stopped, the moment you realized you never needed their acceptance in the first place, they panicked. because their control was built on one thing, your need for validation. And when you took that away, they had nothing left. That's what they never saw coming. They expected you to argue, to fight for their acceptance, to beg for a seat at their table, but instead, you built your own. They expected you to react, to defend yourself, to chase their approval like they were the gatekeepers of your destiny. But instead, you walked away, and that's when they realized they never had control over you to begin with. Have you noticed? The moment you stopped explaining, the moment you stopped justifying your existence, they lost their minds. Suddenly, they were the ones scrambling. Suddenly, they were the ones desperate for attention. Suddenly, they were the ones watching you, wondering why their words no longer mattered. Because nothing terrifies the weak more than someone who no longer seeks their validation. The system was never built for people like you. It was built to keep people in line, to make them dependent, to make them believe they needed permission to be great. And for a time, you might have believed that too. But then you woke up. And that was the day you became untouchable. Because power is not given. It is taken, it is owned, it is stepped into without apology. Look at the world's greatest disruptors, the ones who shattered expectations, the ones who refused to ask for permission. Elon Musk was told Tesla would fail. He built an empire anyway. Serena Williams was told she didn't belong. She dominated the game anyway. Jay-Z was turned away by every record label. He created his own. They didn't ask to be accepted. They didn't wait to be chosen. They simply moved, and the world had no choice but to adjust. And that's you. You are no longer explaining, no longer proving, no longer waiting for someone else to recognize what you have always known, that you were never meant to fit in. And now, they don't know what to do with you. They can't use guilt to keep you small. They can't use doubt to keep you hesitant. They can't use rejection to keep you chasing, because you are free. And nothing is more dangerous than a person who does not need approval to move. So let them wonder, let them talk, let them waste their energy trying to figure out how you became something they cannot control, because you are done explaining. And now, you just grow. Number 11. A caged bird may sing, but it will never soar. A caged bird may sing, but a free one owns the sky. They wanted to keep you trapped, small, dependent, clipped. They built invisible walls around you, disguised as expectations, obligations, and approval. They convinced you that this was all there was, that the cage was for your own good, that playing small was the safest way to exist. And for a while, maybe you believed them. Maybe you shrank yourself to fit inside their comfort zone. Maybe you dimmed your light so they wouldn't feel blinded. Maybe you even convinced yourself that this was enough. But then you saw through the illusion. The moment you realized that the bars around you weren't real, that the walls they built were nothing more than fear disguised as wisdom, you were free. And freedom, that is what they fear the most. Because the moment you stepped beyond their control, the moment you stopped seeking permission, stopped waiting for approval, stopped asking if you were allowed to take up space, you became untouchable. That's why they turned against you. Not because you wronged them, not because you hurt them, but because you outgrew them. They see it now. How you walk differently, how you move without hesitation, how their words no longer shape your reality, and they hate it. Because your flight is proof that they never needed to stay caged. Your ability to soar exposes their choice to remain small, and nothing threatens the weak more than realizing they held the key to their own freedom all along. So instead of growing, instead of rising, instead of breaking free, they resent you. They throw stones at your wings, hoping to weigh you down. They whisper in the corners, hoping you will doubt yourself again. They wait for the moment you will come crashing down, because if you fall, it justifies their decision to never fly. But you won't fall, because you have tasted freedom. You have seen the view from above. You have felt what it means to exist without limits. And once a bird learns to fly, it never returns to the cage. Think of the ones who refuse to stay trapped. Harriet Tubman was born in chains, but she refused to accept slavery as her fate. She didn't just escape, she led others to freedom. Malala Yousafzai was told she couldn't get an education. She didn't just learn, she became a voice for millions of girls around the world. Kobe Bryant was told he would never be great. He didn't just prove them wrong, he became a legend, because real greatness cannot be contained, and neither can you. So let them talk, let them seethe, let them waste their days convincing themselves that you were wrong for choosing flight. Because while they are still pacing inside their cages, singing the same old tune of excuses and fear, you own the sky. And just like that, you see it now. You were never meant to fight them. You were meant to rise beyond them. They tried, they failed, and now you are unstoppable, no longer seeking approval, no longer explaining, no longer shrinking. You are walking in full power, untouchable, unshaken, undeniable. If this message hit your soul, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments. Share this with another chosen one, because the more we rise, the louder the universe speaks. Now go. Move in silence, move in power, and watch them fade.